So, What If is obviously kind of romantic comedy,
Yes.
very different to your slightly darker past projects.
Yes.
What was it about that being so different that really attracted you to it?
You know, I had wanted to do a comedy for a while. It's sort of mostly what I grew up watching was comedy, so I definitely wanted to do that. And then, you know, once you get a script that's this funny and this smart, you know, you don't really think twice. It makes it a very easy decision. And as we were just talking about, you know, the thing I liked about it was that it wasn't sentimental and it didn't lean into that sort of world of being too cheesy, because that's what I hate in romantic comedies. I think that's what everybody hates in romantic comedies. So, you know, mine and Zoe's and our director, Michael, you know, all of our natural inclination is to just go away from that any chance we get. So I think we've made a very unsentimental but still very sweet film.
Yeah, definitely got the emotion in there.
Good.
Just
yeah.
doesn't go with it too much.
Yeah,
so Wallace is, I think he's a bit of a love cynic, isn't he?
Yeah.
So if you compare yourself to him, do you think you're a bit of a love cynic, or are you more of a romantic? Or
I think I'm more of a romantic. I think that Wallace is more of a romantic actually as well. It's just that it's easier to be, as he says in the movie, cynical about love than it is to risk being vulnerable and getting hurt, which is something that has happened to him. And I think a lot of people do. You know, they'll sort of, you know, laugh it off and go, oh yeah, no, that's not for me or whatever, because they've been really badly hurt in the past. And you know, that's definitely how he is. I think myself, I am much more of you know, a romantic than him, or I'm just much better at being, I think, honest about how I'm feeling than my character is in this movie. Like, I hope I am a little bit more self-aware than he is.
What's the most romantic thing you've ever done?
Well, I was reminded the other day, I actually did fly to New York to surprise somebody, but the surprise was kind of ruined the night before because I was on the phone and we were just like, and I think she'd had a really bad day, and I was just like, I'm coming over tomorrow, so I ruined the surprise.
That's half surprise.
But it was half a surprise, and it was still nice, and it was a romantic gesture, I suppose. But yeah, but I think like romance comes down to like more like, you know, little things done regularly and feelings than it does into gestures.
Would you say you've got any other similarities to Wallace?
I definitely think like our sense of humour is very similar, and because we were allowed to do quite a lot of improvisation around the film, like that let our sense of humour come out even more. So I think I've definitely got that in common with him. Yeah.
And so long distance love is a bit of an element of the film, obviously not with your character. No. But do you find kind of, obviously in the business that you're in, kind of having to travel and things, trying to maintain a relationship whilst in the spotlight, how do you find that? Well,
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's the main thing that every relationship in our industry I've learned, you know, deals with at some point, is you're going to spend time apart from each other. But, you know, I always think we're so lucky we have Skype and FaceTime and all that stuff now, because in years gone by you would have just been like sending a letter and getting another letter back every 6 months.
But romantic.
Romantic, but like terrible as well. You know, romantic for a bit and then awful. So, yeah, I'm very glad we live now.
Okay, I'm going to do my little what if round. Okay, so what if Harry Potter never existed? What can you see yourself doing?
I would like to have been an archaeologist. I love history, so I'm big into that. I'm happy there.
What if the new Harry Potter franchise brings out kind of a new film or a play? Could you ever see any involvement?
I could not really know, but you know, I never say never to these things, but I'd have to be convinced.
Okay. What if you could only ever act in film or theatre ever again? Which would you pick?
I would pick film, just because it is, as much as I love theatre, films where I grew up, and I grew up on film sets and I love them, and if I had to choose one to spend the rest of my life on, it would be film sets. What
if Harry and Hermione were supposed to be like Wallace and Chandri? Would you change it if you could?
I wouldn't actually. Like, I always liked. I found it interesting that Jo came out later and said that she thought that Harry and Hermione should have got together, because I actually thought that that would have been almost too predictable. So I like the fact that Ron and Hermione ended up getting together. That sort of seemed better to me.
Bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
And what if you had to date one fictional character from film or TV? Who would she be?
Oh, what?
I know. Totally off guard.
That's very hard. You know, the Disney character that I always fancied growing up, even though she totally screwed him over in the movie, was not Belle or any of the famous ones from more classic Disney, but Meg from Hercules.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she was always cool and kind of sexy.
She was a honey to the bee.
Yeah, she was.
Powerful.
I like Meg. Oh, yeah, her.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much.